information, basically all the information that I've received through my lifetime of contacts, all the teaching and messages I've received. Some of it I feel more comfortable producing it as fiction. It's not fiction, it's actually a true story, but some of the information is a little bit controversial, and it might sit a little bit more comfortably with some people to read it as a fiction book. Also, it's been put together as a nice, easy read for people who aren't even necessarily interested in the subject of ETs. It's just a nice book to read.
Do the Zetas or any other extraterrestrial faction that may be visiting this planet, do they pose a threat to the safety of the planet and to us humans?
Oh, absolutely not, Rob. There is negative interference, but it's coming from right down here, but not the off-planet ETs. They're trying to help us through, basically.
Help us through what?
Sorry?
Help us through what?
Well, the fear that so many of us seem to spend our lives in. Humans are coming up to a point with the shift in 2012 where our whole planet is actually stepping up to a higher vibrational frequency. So we as humanity need to step up with it. And this is this Armageddon thing that they speak about in the Bible. And basically what it is making a choice between love and fear. All of human evolution is hinged on this choice. We can either choose love or we can choose fear. And the problem is down here, because of the fact that so many humans aren't open to the fact that they are multidimensional beings, that they're an immortal soul, they have the power of God within. We've been dumbed down and disempowered for so long. So many, many people do live in a state of fear, and this is what the ETs are trying to help us through.
Why don't the ETs just make themselves known to everyone here on this planet at once with a landing in Washington, Ottawa, Moscow, London?
On the White House lawn.
Right. Why don't they do that?
Okay, well, the problem is, they would probably cause more fear. Can you imagine the panic that would happen if that occurred? Also, the contact experience, particularly that with the Zetas, is very much tailored to the individual. Because each person carries fears and things from past lives, like a lot of what I call baggage from past lives. And a lot of the contact experience with the Zetas is actually the process of bringing this buried mind stuff, baggage, up to the surface to be cleared. And this then enables the person to move past their fear into love on the other side. We talk about them moving past the fear barrier. And of course, this is a very individual process for everyone because, we've all had different past life experiences. It can also be extremely traumatic, and this is why a lot of people have trouble with the greys, because it is a rather intimidating process, but it is good for our growth in the end. It's like as if you have a deep-seated infection in the body and a hot poultice or something is put on to draw it to the surface so it can be cleared. That's basically what the contact experience with the Zetas is about.
Well, let me ask you this then. What is the difference between the Zetas and the greys?
Oh, they're basically exactly the same group. Some people call them greys, some people call them Zetas. In actual fact, they've moved beyond any planetary, they're not a physical planetary group now. They have been in the past. They've been resident on many different planets, including the Zeta system, but they've now moved past the need for physical manifestation.
When was the last time you had contact with the Zetas?
Oh, I'm basically having contact continually.
Really?
Yeah. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I don't. If I come back without a memory and I'm meant to remember, then something happens. I read something in a book or I have a mark on my body or something just to remind me.
Interesting. Truly interesting. How many people do you think are contactees on this planet who have a story inside of them but they're just afraid of the sociological ridicule that they keep the story inside? Yes,
many, many thousands. Some are consciously aware, some aren't. One of the main messages that the Zetas give to people during the contact experience is it's time for you to wake up. And that what they mean by that is it's time for you to wake up more consciously as opposed to being forgetful as we are. I mean, as Earth humans down here, we can only access about 10% of our potential conscious awareness. This is linked into the 10% of our DNA that's active, and now it's time for us to start opening up to more.
Is there a connection between some of the Zetas and the so-called Men in Black?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The tall Zeta teachers do dress in black for a very specific reason, but at the same time there is negative interference going on down here with the Men in Black who menace people. They're not Zetas, they're different.
You know, it seems like the Men in Black have fallen off the face of the earth because over the past 8-9 years, I haven't heard any report of activity being reported by Men in Black.
No, they're certainly not as much as they used to be. I actually believe that they are a sort of an ET hybrid type being that's been created down here using genetics from the real ETs, but certainly not done with their permission.
So why
is
it that the Greys, then, according to several reports, seem to appear to be robotic?
Okay, this is a very interesting subject. I could talk for hours on this. The Greys, or what I call them the Guardians. So the Guardians, Greys, Zetas, whatever you want to call them. They've, as I mentioned before, they've actually moved past the need to manifest in physical form. What people don't understand is that the universe is far more vast than just the physical universe. It's multidimensional, so there are many, many layers of the universe beyond the physical.
Right.
Now, the Greys, or the Guardians, have manifested physical lives on a number of planets, and now they've moved beyond this need to be physical. But because some of them are carrying out physical tasks on planets such as Earth, they're just a pure soul consciousness, but they clothe themselves in what they call a container, which can be like an artificial or semi-artificial container, which is basically like our body. Our body is a vehicle as well. I mean, we're a soul consciousness in truth, we're not our body. And this is what the Zetas do. They use these semi-artificial, artificial containers to carry out physical work on a physical planet. And so, therefore, they can sometimes appear slightly sort of robotic, but they're not robots because the consciousness is pure God consciousness, the same as our consciousness.
Who do the Zetas report to about their activities that they're conducting here on this planet and their interaction between themselves and humanoids?
Okay, well, there's not the racial thing up there that there is down here. Everyone works together in those higher dimensions. The Zetas are actually assistants to the beings that people down here think of as angels, who are right up in very, very highly evolved beings. So the Zetas work in unison with them. They also work with other ET races. So everyone just works together up there. There's not all the divisiveness as there is down here.
I don't know. I find it a little intrusive to know that there are alien entities out there who may choose to communicate with me without getting my permission.
Well, in actual fact, again, this is where the fact that we only have 10% conscious awareness down here on planet Earth. Those of us who are interacting with genuine ETs have given permission before we actually reincarnated into this life. So yes, full permission is given.
You said genuine ETs. Are there?
Yes.
What's the difference between a genuine ET and a non-genuine ET?
Well, there is a group down here that are using mind control techniques to basically fake ET encounters. So yes, there is some interference from down here.
Now, when you say down here, who do you think is responsible for this?
There is a group down here on planet Earth.
Who?
Well, I call them the controllers in my book, Human by Day, Zeta by Night. I refer to them as the controllers.
How do you know that?
Well, I've received quite a lot of teaching on it from upstairs.
Is there any way that you can validate the existence of the ETs?
Well, basically, so many people have had experiences.
No, but I mean, what I mean is, how can you prove to me that what you're saying about the ETs is real and not just fiction?
Right. Well, that's a very hard question to answer because I guess people have come forward with proof of markings on their bodies, etc.
Well, sure, but you would agree, and you have said this, that there are, there are those people who fake these so-called encounters for their own personal gain.
Yeah, yeah.
So how do we, the public, differentiate between those who have had real encounters and those who haven't had encounters but claim they have so that they can make a couple of bucks?
Yeah, okay, Rob. Now, that is a good point. I actually bring this up in the book. Mm-hmm. Whenever you're discussing the subject or reading a book on it or anything, you always try to link into the underlying energy behind the message. Is the message love or is it fear? If the message is coming from a fear angle, then you can just about guess that there's some sort of interference in there, because the real ETs aren't into that. So that's a good benchmark.
All right. Let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
If the ETs are not into scaring people, why don't they just make themselves known so that everyone would once and for all have the proof that they, in fact, are really here and they're not a figment of people's imaginations?
Okay, well, the thing is because that's an intangible proof. What they're trying to do, they're trying to open us up to deeper layers of our consciousness beyond the physical.
But don't you think they'd have better success by showing us the existence rather than teaching us a philosophy to open the porthole?
I believe there has been quite a few encounters where there has been physical proof and physical evidence, from what I understand.
You and I have to take our final break. Please stand by. Carol, Exonation, Judy Carroll, is our special guest. Two websites, www.thezetamessage.com, that's www.thezetamessage.com, and www.ufogreyinfo.com, that's UFOGREY info.com. Judy and I will be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue here in the X Zone investigating claims of the paranormal and claims of the world of parapsychology from our studios in beautiful Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. With each new extreme weather event or terrorist act, it becomes increasingly obvious that we live in uncertain and challenging times. We all buy car insurance. Why not collapse and catastrophe insurance? Matthew Stein, an MIT-trained engineer and green builder, has written 2 outstanding books to help people prepare, plan for, and deal with everything from minor situations lasting a few days to full-on collapse. Matt's first book, When Technology Fails, is a manual for self-reliance, sustainable living, and surviving the long emergency. This massive book covers the gamut from first aid and emergency preparedness to alternative healing, renewable energy, primitive living skills, and 18th century technologies that could be critical to your comfort and survival in a long-lasting crisis. Matt's second book, When Disaster Strikes, is a comprehensive emergency preparedness handbook and survival guide. When Disaster Strikes is an essential item for every family's go bag. Both books are available at all usual sources. There's a wealth of totally free information posted at whentechfails.com, and author-signed copies may be purchased at mattstein.com. That's www.whentechfails.com and www.mattstein.com.